Et salut, nous revoilà donc pour la suite de The Stanley Parable. Voilà, donc on va reprendre direct là où on s'était stoppé tout à l'heure. Donc bah c'est reparti et on va voir ce que ça donne tout de suite en reprenant le jeu. Donc alors on s'est arrêté sur ce choix là, d'aller en face. Tout à l'heure on était parti à droite et nous sommes décédés comme des vulgaires daubes. Une porte noire. Ok.
That's her, Stanley.
Décroche le téléphone, ok.
Oh, Stanley, is that you? Hold on, sweetie. Sorry to keep you waiting. I'm just pulling the bread out of the oven. All right. Okay, there we go. All right, now, I want you to come in and tell me all about your day.
Gotcha! Oh, come on. Did you actually think you had a loving wife who'd want to commit their life to you? I'm trying to make a point here, Stanley. I'm trying to get you to see something. Come inside. Let me show you what's really going on here. This is a very sad story about the death of a man named Stanley.
Bonjour, employé, appuyez sur jeux pour suivre votre clavier.
Stanley is quite a boring fellow. He has a job that demands nothing of him, and every button that he pushes is a reminder of the inconsequential nature of his existence.
Sympa. Ouais?
Look at him there, pushing buttons, doing exactly what he's told to do. Now he's pushing a button. Now he's eating lunch. Now he's going home. Now he's coming back to work. One might even feel sorry for him, except that he's chosen this life.
Et on a un peu tous choisi de vivre cette vie-là en fait. Hein.
But in his mind, in his mind he can go on fantastic adventures. From behind his desk, Stanley dreamed of wild expeditions into the unknown, fantastic discoveries of new lands. It was wonderful. And each day that he returned to work was a reminder that none of it would ever happen to him.
J'en ai marre d'appuyer sur des touches, je suis obligé. Et si j'appuie sur une autre touche, il se passe rien.
And so he began to fantasize about his own job. First, he imagined that one day while at work, he stepped up from his desk to realize that all of his co-workers, his boss, everyone in the building had suddenly vanished off the face of the earth. The thought excited him terribly. So he went further. He imagined that he came to two open doors and that he could go through either. At last, choice. It barely even mattered what lay behind each door. The mere thought that his decisions would mean something was almost too wonderful to behold.
Bon, j'en ai marre d'appuyer sur ces touches là.
As he wandered through this fantasy world, he began to fill it with many possible paths and destinations. Down one path lay an enormous round room with monitors and mind controls. And down another was a yellow line that weaved in many directions. And down another was a game with a baby. And he called it the Stanley Parable.
Okay.
It was such a wonderful fantasy, and so in his head he relived it again, and then again, and again, over and over, wishing beyond hope that it would never end, that he might always feel this free. Surely there's an answer down some new path, mustn't there be? Perhaps if he played just one more time.
Bon là c'est pas très intéressant parce que ça parle beaucoup pour dire je t'aime à votre épouse.
But there is no answer.
Mais il n'y a pas de
How could there
réponse.
possibly
Peut-il
be?
y en avoir une?
In reality, all he's doing is pushing the same buttons he always has. Nothing has
J'ai
changed.
bien changé la
The longer
pièce.
he spends here, the more invested he gets, the more he forgets which life is the real one.
Pour aller se coucher. Allez, on va se
And
pioter.
I'm trying to tell him this, that in this world he can never be anything but an observer, that as long as he remains here, he's slowly killing himself. But he won't listen to me. He won't stop. Here, watch this. Stanley, the next time the screen asks you to push a button, do not
Je suis un
do it.
mongol. Je savais qu'il y avait une feinte. Bon bah je le fais pas alors. Si j'appuie pas sur la touche. Est-ce qu'il va me faire quelque chose? Ça serait bien parce que là ça devient un peu... Est-ce que j'appuie, est-ce que j'appuie pas? Est-ce qu'il se passe quelque chose? Est-ce qu'il y a un temps donné? J'aime bien les petits bruits des touches de clavier. Tac, 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 tac. Je croyais que je suis obligé d'appuyer ou quoi? Et les secondes passent. Les minutes et les heures s'enchaînent. Nous sommes bloqués par un fauteuil dans un bureau qui bloque la porte avec un magnifique fond d'écran, on dirait du Windows. Donc à voir, bon bah je vais appuyer, tant pis. Hein.
You see? Can he just not hear me? How can I tell him in a way that he'll understand that every second he remains here, he's electing to kill himself? How can I get him to see what I see? How can I make him look at himself?
Bah si, bah je me pose des questions, mais... Alors on va dans mon bureau de base, donc peut-être que la porte s'ouvrira. Je sais pas combien de temps dure le laps de temps. Je me souviens plus de l'heure que je regardais tout à l'heure, si c'était ça ou si ça avait changé. Veuillez appuyer sur X pour ne vous poser la moindre question. Pour ne pas vous poser la moindre question. Donc bah là, pas l'air de beaucoup s'enchaîner, on va appuyer sur X, hein, même si ça m'embête beaucoup. À moins qu'il faut attendre pendant 15 ans, ou c'est parti, je sais pas. Allez, on
I
appuie.
suppose I can't, not in the way I want him to. But I don't make the rules. I simply play to my intended purpose, the same as Stanley. We're not so different, I suppose. I'll try once more to convey all this to him. I'm compelled to. I must. Perhaps, well, maybe this time he'll see. Maybe this time. And I tried again, and Stanley pushed a button. And I tried again, and Stanley pushed a button. And I
Qu'est-ce qui se passe? Ok, donc en fait il
All
me
of his
fait mourir.
co-workers were
Il
gone.
me fait mourir quand
What
je lui
could
dis
it
pas ce
mean?
qu'il veut, quoi.
Stanley decided to go to the meeting room.
Bah,
Perhaps he
je
had
comprends
simply
rien,
missed
ce
the
jeu
memo.
ça parle, je comprends vraiment que dalle. Enfin, je sais pas si c'est le jeu qui bug ou quoi, ou qu'est-ce qui se passe.
When Stanley came to a set of two open
On va prendre à
doors,
gauche
he
pour une
entered
fois.
the door on his left.
On verra bien ce qu'il se passe.
Yet there was not a single person here either. Feeling a wave of disbelief, Stanley decided to go up to his boss's office, hoping he might find an answer there.
Alors, allons dans le bureau du patron pour voir s'il y a une réponse là-bas. Up, down,
Coming
up,
to a
down.
staircase, Stanley walked
Monte.
upstairs to his boss's office. Stepping into his manager's office, Stanley was once again stunned to discover not an indication of any human life. Shocked, unraveled, Stanley wondered in disbelief who orchestrated this, what dark secret was being held from him. What he could not have known was that the keypad behind the boss's desk guarded the terrible truth that his boss had been keeping from him. And so the boss had assigned it an extra secret PIN number, 2845. But of course, Stanley couldn't possibly have known this.
8, 4, 5.
Yet incredibly, by simply pushing random buttons on the keypad, Stanley happened to input the correct code by sheer luck. Amazing. He stepped into the newly opened passageway.
Il rentra dans ce passage. Il est où le passage? Ah ouais, il est là, ok, d'accord. Ah, c'est plus qu'un passage là, c'est... C'est immense.
Descending deeper into the building, Stanley realized he felt a bit peculiar. It
Ouais,
was
je me
a
sens plus
stirring
bizarre,
of
tout drôle.
emotion in his chest, as though he felt more free to think for himself, to question the nature of his job. Why did he feel this now, when for years it had never occurred to him? This question would not go unanswered for long. Stanley walked straight ahead through the large
Mind
door
control
that read
facility.
Mind Control Facility.
Escape, moi je vais me sauver.
Although this passageway had the word escape written on it, the truth was that at the end of this hall, Stanley would meet his violent death.
Qu'est-ce que je fais? Pas trop envie de mourir, alors du coup, bon, bah, on va voir, hein, mais... Est-ce qu'il a raison, est-ce qu'il a pas raison?
But of course, Stanley thought better of it and realized he simply had too much to live for. The lights rose on an enormous room packed with television screens. What horrible secret did this place hold? Stanley thought to himself. Did he have the strength to find out?
Ok. Allons voir ce qui s'y passe.
Now the monitors jumped to life, their true nature revealed. Each bore the number of an employee in the building, Stanley's co-workers. The lives of so many individuals reduced to images on a screen, and Stanley, one of them, eternally monitored in this place where freedom meant nothing.
C'est sûr. C'est un peu étrange tout ça. Ça c'est quoi? Moi je suis où? 427 c'est ça? 427, j'étais où? J'étais où? Putain j'ai pas eu le temps de voir, il y a tellement de chiffres que j'étais perdu. 400, putain mais c'est du 200, du 300, 400 en mongol, c'est là, 427, je suis juste là, en face. Et ouais, c'est mon bureau, nice. C'était mon bureau, c'est exact. Alors, bon bah on va appuyer, de toute façon j'ai pas trop le choix.
This mind control facility, it was too horrible to believe. It couldn't be true. Had Stanley really been under someone's control all this time? Was this the only reason he was happy with his boring job? That his emotions had been manipulated to accept it blindly?
Mais ouais, peut-être que on me contrôle.
No. He refused to believe it. He couldn't accept it. His own life in someone else's control? Never. It was unthinkable, wasn't it? Was it even possible? Had he truly spent his entire life utterly blind to the world? But here was the proof. The heart of the operation. Controls labeled with emotions. Happy, or sad, or content. Walking, eating, working, all of it monitored and commanded from this very place. And as the cold reality of his past began to sink in, Stanley decided that this machinery would never again exert its terrible power over another human life. For he would dismantle the controls once and for all.
Un bouton ça? Ce n'est pas un bouton. C'est sûrement plus loin qu'il faut aller. Ok. Tac, 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 tac. System power, on, off.
And when at last he found the source of the room's power, he knew it was his duty, his obligation, to put an end to this horrible place and to everything it stood for.
Mais je pourrais être le maître du monde si je contrôlais tout ça. Allez.
Oh, Stanley, you didn't just activate the controls, did you? After they kept you enslaved all these years, you go and you try to take control of the machine for yourself. Is that what you wanted?
Oui.
Control?
Je le veux.
Oh, Stanley, I applaud your effort, I really do. But you need to understand, there's only so much that machine can do. You were supposed to let it go, turn the controls off, and leave. If you want to throw my story off track, you're going to have to do much better than that. I'm afraid you don't have nearly the power you think you do. For example, and I believe you'll find this pertinent, Stanley suddenly realized he had just initiated the network's emergency detonation system.
Super.
In the event that this machine is activated without proper DNA identification, nuclear detonators are set to explode, eliminating the entire complex. How long until detonation then? Let's say 2 minutes. Now this is making things a little more fun, isn't it, Stanley? It's your time to shine. You are the star. It's your story now. Shape it to your heart's desires. Oh, this is much better than what I had in mind. What a shame we have so little time left to enjoy it. Mere moments until the bomb goes off. But what precious moments each one of them is. More time to talk about you, about me, where we're going, what all this means. I barely know where to start. What's that? You'd like to know where your co-workers are? A moment of solace before you're obliterated. All right, I'm in a good mood. You're going to die anyway. I'll tell you exactly what happened to them. I erased them. I turned off the machine. I set you free. Of course, that was merely in this instance of the story. Sometimes when I tell it, I simply let you sit there in your office forever, pushing buttons endlessly and then dying alone. Other times, I let the office sink into the ground, swallowing everyone inside, or I let it burn to a crisp. I have to say this, though, this version of events has been rather amusing. Watching you try to make sense of everything and take back the control wrested away from you, it's quite rich. I almost hate to see it go. But I'm sure whatever I come up with on the next go-around will be even better. My goodness, only 34 seconds left. But I'm enjoying this so much. You know what? To hell with it. I'm going to put some extra time on the clock. Why not? These are precious additional seconds, Stanley. Time doesn't grow on trees. Oh dear me, what's the matter, Stanley? Is it that you have no idea where you're going or what you're supposed to be doing right now? Or did you just assume when you saw that timer that something in this room was capable of turning it off? I mean, look at you. Running from button to button, screen to screen, clicking on every little thing in this room. These numbered buttons, no, these colored ones. Or maybe this big red button. Or this door. Everything, anything, something here will save me. Why would you think that, Stanley? That this video game can be beaten? One soul? Do you have any idea what your purpose in this place is? Stanley, you're in for quite a disappointment. But here's a spoiler for you. That timer isn't a catalyst to keep the action moving along. It's just seconds ticking away to your death. You're only still playing instead of watching a cutscene because I want to watch you for every moment that you're powerless. To see you made humble. This is not a challenge, it's a tragedy. You wanted to control this world, that's fine. But I'm going to destroy it first, so you can't. Take a look at the clock. That's 30 seconds you have left to struggle. 30 seconds until a big boom and then nothing. No end. Just you being blown to pieces. Will you cling desperately to your frail life? Or will you let it go peacefully? Another choice. Make it count. Or don't. It's all the same to me. All a part of the joke. And believe me, I will be laughing at every second of your inevitable life from the moment we fade in until the moment I say, happily ever after.
C'est fini. Je suis complètement déchiqueté, décédé. Je suis down. C'est ça, on est done. Alors je sais pas s'il y a une fin, une suite, quelque chose.
All of his co-workers were gone.
J'en sais rien.
What could it mean?
Tout de moins en moins
Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
Je vois pas du tout.
When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, this was not the correct way to the meeting room, and Stanley knew it perfectly well. Perhaps he wanted to stop by the employee lounge first, just to admire it. Standing now in this incredible room, Stanley for the first but eager to get back to business, Stanley took the first open door on his left.
Hop là, tiens, on va prendre la rouge là-bas.
Stanley was so bad at following directions, it's incredible he wasn't 5 years ago. Look, Stanley, I think perhaps we've gotten off on the wrong foot here. I'm not your enemy, really, I'm not. I realize that investing your trust in someone else can be difficult, But the... What? Really? I was in the middle of something. Do you have zero consideration for others? Are you that convinced that I want something bad to happen to you? Why? I don't know how to convince you of this, but I really do want to help you, to show you something beautiful. Look, let me prove it. Let me prove that I'm on your side.
Allez, je te donne une chance. Cette fois-ci, je vais être
Now
gentil.
listen carefully, this is important.
Je te laisse ta chance.
Stanley walked through the red door.
Allez, on va prendre la porte rouge.
Oh, thank God, you are willing to listen to me.
Oui, je
Do you
peux.
see that I really have wanted you to be happy all this time? The problem is all these choices. The two of us always trying to get somewhere that isn't here. Running and running and running, just the way you're doing right now. Don't you see that it's killing us, Stanley? I wanted to stop. We would both be so much happier if we just stopped. And I think I have a solution. Here, let me show you.
Allez. Ok, c'était une porte noire.
What do we want? What are we looking for? Here.
Yeah.
Oh, it's beautiful, isn't it? If we just stay right here,
beautiful.
right in this moment with this place, Stanley, I think I feel happy. I actually feel happy.
C'est magnifique, c'est très sympa. Je sais pas à quoi ça m'apporte.
No, wait. Where are you going?
Ok, je reviens, calme-toi.
Right. Where were we?
Ouais, moi je vais pas regarder ça pendant 15 000 ans, mon bonhomme. Hein. Il va falloir me donner quelque chose. Alors, je pense qu'il y a moyen de s'échapper sur le truc d'avant, là, au niveau des 2 minutes, mais comme un loose day, bah, j'ai fait de la daube. Alors, bon, bah, ouais, on y va, hein. On va pas rester là pendant 15 ans à regarder des trucs comme ça. Il y a un moment où il faut y aller.
Oh no! Stay away from those stairs. If you hurt yourself, if you die, the game will reset. We'll lose all of this.
Ouais, bah ça va. Ouais, je vais encore mourir de toute façon, ça va être assez sympa.
Please, no, Stanley, let me stay here. Don't take this from me.
Ok. Ah, c'est le suicide. C'est l'escalier à suicide. Alors, quel est le bon choix? Parce que là, soit je tombe et je pense que c'est fini, soit je reviens là-dedans et il se passe pas grand-chose.
Good. We can't be too safe. Promise me you won't go back there. Just stay here.
Ouais, mais c'est un peu chiant quoi, parce que il se passe pas grand chose. Est-ce que je peux tomber? Je peux tomber peut-être. Je sais pas. Allez, on va prendre l'escalier parce que...
No! What did we talk about? You're risking everything we achieved here. You heard me before, didn't you? You will die! What about this isn't getting through to you?
Bah ouais, mais fais-moi avancer, fais-moi faire quelque chose. Est-ce qu'on die? Allez, on tente une die. On tente quelque chose. On tente quelque chose. On tente, on verra bien. De toute façon, bah...
Please, Stanley, think about what you're doing.
Bah ouais, mais tu me laisses pas le choix là, moi je m'en fous de voir des étoiles. Allez, c'est parti.
No! Oh, thank God. You lived. You had me worried there for a moment. Now, can we please get back to the other room?
La porte elle s'est ouverte là-haut ou pas? On ne voit rien, on ne voit pas, je sais même plus où elle est. Bon, on va retourner s'il se passe pas grand chose. Oh, un petit dessin d'enfant. Hop là. Elle est chiante cette pièce. Elle est chiante.
There. See? This is what you want. This is where we can both be happy. We really can. If we stop moving, we just have to stop moving.
Ah, ok, je suis sur le banc, donc je peux pas tomber. Ouais, mais c'est un peu chiant. C'est hyper chiant
Stanley,
comme ça.
go back. There's nothing good that can come from this.
Je sais, rien de bon, mais en même
No.
temps, là, on tourne un peu en
No,
rond.
what do you just not believe me? What can I say to convince you?
Je veux dire, pour te convaincre, bah rien, fais-moi changer de pièce, mets-moi dans un autre truc.
Stanley, let's go back to the other room. Can you do that for me?
Le jeu, il se fout de ma gueule.
Yes, perhaps you can. Perhaps you finally see what I'm talking about.
Oh là là,
And
que c'est chiant, je suis perdu.
you'll see that we can't be happy if we leave this place. You can see that, can't you?
Je veux partir. Ah, y a pas un truc.
No, perhaps not.
Je suis en train de me faire troll par un jeu, quoi. Le jeu, il m'a enfermé dans...
My God, is this really how much you dislike
Oui.
my game? That you'll throw yourself from this platform over and over to be rid of it? You are literally
Oui.
willing to kill yourself to keep me from being happy. Am I reading the situation correctly?
Allez.
Or maybe you're just getting a kick out of it. I don't know anymore. I just wanted us to get along. But I guess that was too much to ask. It looks like you wanted to make a choice after all. Well, this one is yours.
Oui, c'est le mien.
Is it over? It's going to restart, isn't it? I'm going back.
Ok. Je comprends plus grand chose, donc on repart à zéro. Donc c'est magique, je comprends vraiment pas grand chose. Donc on va voir. Tac, tac, tac.
Good morning. Thank you for contacting the Future Happiness Foundation. We are confirming your shipment of 1,327 cardboard boxes to your place of work. Can you verify that this is correct?
Ok. Et là, le narrateur ne me parle plus.
When Stanley came to a set of 2 open
Ah,
doors, he entered the door on his left.
Ok, bon, bah. Je crois qu'on va terminer sur cette petite pause. Le jeu, ouais, je comprends plus trop vraiment ce qui se passe. Donc on va faire une petite pause là pour celle-ci. Et je verrai par la suite. Je vais quand même retenter quelque chose sur une troisième vidéo, histoire de voir jusqu'où on peut aller, ce qu'on peut faire en essayant de prendre des choix peut-être un peu plus raisonnables. D'accord, donc là, bah, je viens de me faire clapper la porte sur le cul. C'est vraiment scandaleux. Voilà. Mais donc voilà.
Yet there was not a single person here either. Feeling a wave of disbelief, Stanley decided to go up to his boss's office. Hoping he might come into a staircase, Stanley walked upstairs to his boss's office.
Ah, on
But
est dans le
Stanley
parcours.
just couldn't do it.
Je pouvais pas le
He
faire.
considered the possibility of facing his boss, admitting he had left his post during work hours. He might be fired for that. And in such a competitive economy, why had he taken that risk?
C'est
All
vrai,
because he
pourquoi prendre ce
believed
risque?
everyone had vanished. His boss would think he was crazy. And then something occurred to Stanley. Maybe, he thought to himself, maybe I am crazy. All of my co-workers blinking mysteriously out of existence in a single moment for no reason at all. None of it made any logical
Je tourne en rond,
sense.
là, non?
And as Stanley pondered this, he began to make other strange observations. For example, why couldn't he see his feet when he looked down? Why did doors close automatically behind him wherever he went? And for that matter, these rooms were starting to look pretty familiar. Were they simply repeating?
Bah
No,
ouais.
Stanley said to himself, this is all too strange. This can't be real. And at last, he came to the conclusion that had been on the tip of his tongue. He just hadn't found the words for it. I'm dreaming! He yelled. This is all a dream. Oh, what a relief Stanley felt to have finally found an answer, an explanation. His co-workers weren't actually gone. He wasn't going to lose his job. He wasn't crazy after all. And he thought to himself, I suppose I'll wake up soon. I'll have to go back to my boring real-life job pushing buttons. I may as well enjoy this while I'm still lucid. So, he imagined himself flying and began to gently float above the ground. Then he imagined himself soaring through space on a magical starfield, and it too appeared. It was so much fun, and Stanley marveled that he had still not woken up. How was he remaining so lucid? And then perhaps the strangest question of them all entered Stanley's head. One he was amazed he hadn't asked himself sooner. Why is there a voice in my head dictating everything that I'm doing and thinking? Now the voice was describing itself being considered by Stanley, who found it particularly strange. I'm dreaming about a voice describing me, thinking about how it's describing my thoughts, he thought. And while he thought it all very odd, and wondered if this voice spoke to all people in their dreams, the truth was that, of course, this was not a dream. How could it be? Was Stanley simply deceiving himself, believing that if he's asleep, he doesn't have to take responsibility for himself? Stanley is as awake right now as he's ever been in his life. Now, hearing the voice speak these words was quite a shock to Stanley. After all, he knew for certain, beyond a doubt, that this was in fact a dream. Did the voice not see him float and make the magical stars just a moment ago? How else would the voice explain all that? This voice was a part of himself too. Surely, if he could just... He would prove it. He would prove that he was in control, that this was a dream. So he closed his eyes gently, and he invited himself to wake up. He felt the cool weight of the blanket on his skin, the press of the mattress on his back, the fresh air of a world outside this one. Let me wake up, he thought to himself.
Allez, wake up.
I'm through with this dream. I wish it to be over. Let me go back to my job. Let me continue pushing the buttons. Please, it's all I want. I want my apartment, and my wife, and my job. All I want is my life exactly the way it's always been. My life is normal. I am normal. Everything will be fine. I am okay.
Ok. Non. Exit. Je sais pas s'il y avait le panneau exit.
Stanley began screaming. Please, someone, wake me up. My name is Stanley. I have a boss. I have an office. I am real. Please, just someone tell me I am real. I must be real. I must be. Can anyone hear my voice? Who am I? Who am I? And everything went black.
Ok. Comment ça part en live? C'est complètement...
This is the story of a woman named Mariella. Mariella woke up on a day like any other. She arose, got dressed, gathered her belongings, and walked to her place of work. But on this particular day, her walk was interrupted by the body of a man who had stumbled through town talking and screaming to himself, and then collapsed dead on the sidewalk. And although she would soon turn to go call for an ambulance, for just a few brief moments, she considered the strange man. He was obviously crazy. This much she knew. Everyone knows what crazy people look like. And in that moment, she thought to herself how lucky she was to be normal. I am sane. I am in control of my mind. I know what is real and what isn't. It was comforting to think this, and in a certain way, seeing this man made her feel better. But then she remembered the meeting she had scheduled for that day, the very important people whose impressions of her would affect her career, and by extension, the rest of her life. She had no time for this, so it was only a moment that she stood there, staring down at the body. And then she turned and ran.
Ok. Et donc c'est la fin, bon bah voilà. Donc je ferai sûrement une troisième vidéo pour voir ce que ça donne en prenant Peut-être que la troisième, je dirais tout ce que je prendrais le choix du narrateur, voir ce qu'il me dit à chaque fois.
Even now, Stanley's office was a distant memory. What did it look like? There was a computer, perhaps, and a painting. Was it a painting or a photo? He could no longer recall.
Donc on verra bien ce que ça donne en suivant ce que dit le narrateur. Donc sur ce, je vais couper la vidéo et on se retrouve bientôt pour une troisième en essayant de voir ce qui se passe et si on peut aller un peu plus loin. J'avais bien aimé la première avec le petit Minecraft et le petit portal. Peut-être que je retenterai de voir ce qui se passe à ce niveau-là sans forcément tomber dans le trou et me perdre dans les couloirs. Donc à voir sur ce, et puis bonne journée tout simplement, et en espérant que tout se passe bien pour vous, et surtout prenez les bons choix, parce qu'apparemment des fois c'est compliqué. Donc sur ce, à bientôt, et à bientôt.